an amazing industry, but there's not a lot of respect for the professionals out there for what they do and how they work day in and day out and their level of expertise. And the fact that they're able to feed more mouths than any restaurant in any community that they're in with amazing products like yours.
The thing that I love about Butterball is that it's always family first. I mean, hey, I need to go to a show, but my son's got this going on, or my daughter, they'll tell you family first, work second. And they truly, a lot of companies will say that. They truly are that way.
The K-12 industry and the sales process, sales cycle, everything about it is not like anything else I've ever experienced because it is purely relationships.
I applaud trying to have more nutritious meals, but if you get to a point where you're taking so much out of this that you're not feeding the kid anymore, they're feeding a trash can, or they're just not taking it.
Frank Samuelson, thank you so much for hanging out with me on the Next Up podcast. We're here in Atlanta at the PMR Test Kitchen. And sir, how are you doing today?
Absolutely fantastic. It's a beautiful spring day here in Atlanta, and it's nice not to be cold.
It's actually warmer here than it was in Tampa when I left, which blew my mind because it's like 50s down there today.
And we've been flipping back and forth. We've had some freezing temperatures, but it's been in the high 70s in the last week. So spring's upon us.
Spring is upon us.
So is the pollen.
Man, tell me about it. The pollen is brutal. I drive an orange car and it's yellow right now because of all the pollen, and my allergies have been killing me.
That's that time of year.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. So Frank, you're with Butterball. Obviously, everybody knows you for that. But can you tell me a little bit about your background, how you got started, and how you got to Butterball?
This is a great story that I've shared a lot. I had worked in restaurants all through college, and when I graduated, it took me 6.5 years. I did the pay-as-you-go plan, and the last place I wanted to work when I got out of college was a food business. And so I spent 2 years selling copy machines and hated it, thought sales isn't for me. 100 cold calls a day, and most people, it was the type of business that if I sold a copier once, I wasn't going to sell another one to that account for 4 to 5 years. And so just happened to be back in Atlanta. My parents had moved down here. We were originally from Virginia, and my parents had moved here after I graduated. I moved to Dallas, Texas, and was doing the copy machines there. And but when I was here for Christmas, I filled out or answered some want ads, and the one that got me an interview was 2 lines. It said a regional manager, and
You were thinking money.
that's what I was thinking. And but I didn't know what it was. They didn't talk about schools or food or anything. And so the guy I met with was like 6'8", 280 pounds. And so instantly we started talking football.
Mm-hmm. You played football, right?
I did.
What'd you play?
I was a tight end.
Okay.
And not a great one. So because I didn't. This guy had played for the Bears for a year and played in the USFL. So we sat there and talked football out of a 3-hour interview for two and a half hours.
And I'm guessing you got the job.
Well, he said the job's yours. I said the marketing job. He goes, no. He said you don't need to be in marketing. You need to be in sales. And I'm like, but no, the ad I answered was a marketing job. And he said, no. He said I said I got a guy coming in. He said he's probably the marketing guy. He said but you need to be in sales. And I'm like, okay, I'll take it. Mm-hmm. And he goes, well, think about it. And I was like, well, what is the job actually?
That was my next question. What was the job?
It was selling pizza to schools. And so it taught me, that was the last place I thought I would end up is back, because I'd worked for Pizza Hut in college. I'm like, I've had enough pizza. And so it really taught me that I bought into him and that part of it being a people business. And then shortly being in the business, I realized that it wasn't you sell them once and talk to them 5 years later. That if you did what you said you would do, and you followed through on everything, you got repeat business, and that's what locked me into this.
Yeah, it's funny. I tell people all the time that the K-12 industry and the sales process, sales cycle, everything about it is not like anything else I've ever experienced because it is purely relationships. Well, as much as possible, it's relationships. Districts will look at your product if they like you, but But if they don't like you, they're most likely not going to check you out unless they have no other choice.
And I tell people all the time that when this quits being a relationship business, that's when I'll leave and go be a greeter at Walmart.
Yeah.
I love the people.
Yeah. And I mean, if you think about it too, the people that work in this industry, like they're not doing it for the money. Like the operators out there, they're doing it because of their love and passion for food, students, or both combined, or nutrition, right?
Absolutely.
So when you're thinking about these people with huge hearts, of course, working in this industry is going to be a relational industry, and it's going to be an industry full of amazing people.
Very much so. Yeah. And that was so evident during COVID. There was people I knew food service directors that were out behind their elementary school, handing out meals. All the activity that happened, people don't do that just for a paycheck. They were doing it to feed kids, and that's what the greatest thing about this business.
Yeah, they were first responders for sure, and I loved every bit of seeing some of the food service professionals from Dallas ISD on the cover of Time magazine during COVID, getting the respect that they deserve, because unfortunately, it's an amazing industry, but there's not a lot of respect for the professionals out there for what they do and how they work day in and day out, and their level of expertise, and the fact that they're able to feed more mouths than any restaurant in any community that they're in with amazing products like yours,
Very much so. You think about the smallest school. I mean, it could be an elementary school with 300 or 400 kids in it. But in their area, if they said we're a restaurant, they're immediately the biggest restaurant in the area.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and I love seeing some of the programs out there that actually understand the business aspect of what they do, and that they are like a restaurant, and they do make a profit that they put back into the program. But when you see them compete with the restaurants, I mean, the things that they put on their menus are absolutely amazing. I've been to districts where I've had some of the food for lunch, and I was like, this is better than what I had for dinner last night. It's the craziest thing. So how, as manufacturers, do you guys live within these regulations and come out with this amazing food like you do?
It's a challenge. It's a lot of R&D time that goes into it, and that's very expensive. So when we've talked about sodium reductions in the past, having that constantly moving target's difficult, because I mean it's anywhere from $1,000 an hour up to $100,000 an hour, depending on who you're talking.
Wow.
with R&D time. So it's expensive to change. The thing that we have to do is we have to take what the USDA, what their regulations are, and okay, we're going to operate with those standards. But then we got to go look like fast food, and look like the Pizza Huts and look like McDonald's and all that, but have a much more wholesome, much better nutritionally sound products. So it's not easy, and it takes a lot of time to get those products developed.
Oh man, I bet. So real quick, let's backtrack, 'cause I want the rest of the story. How did you get from selling pizza to selling poultry?
There again, it was people.
Yeah.
You meet, I've met people at food shows and whatnot, and I always welcome a chance to grow, and each time I've made a switch professionally, there's always been one person that taught me a lot. Is the reason I ended up going there to start with, and that's pretty much every company I've represented. And when you get to that point where you're not growing anymore, I think that's when we all get a little stale and we look for something different. And so far, everything's kept me on my toes.
That's awesome. And what is your role at Butterball?
I oversee the K-12 program, so I'm the National Business Development Manager for K-12.
So you've kind of grown from that regional manager position, I guess you could say, huh?
Oh, yes, just a wee bit.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit. So I have to ask you, what is the favorite thing about your current role?
Oh gosh! So now I definitely cover a national basis. I'm getting people that I got to see from afar. Like I love spending time in California. So much business out there. Texas, I feel like I've could almost live in Texas again. You go out there so much, but just the people that you get to meet, that especially some high profile people. Like in the last couple of years, I've gotten to know our friend Joe Urban.
Yes, sir.
I've known him for a while, but really gotten to know him. And there's some amazing minds in this business that it's always, I've learned something from everybody.
Yeah. So. And one thing I love too, whenever I was able to become more of a national, or fill a national role myself, like you see the people like Joe Urban, and they're amazing, right? And the Jessica Shelleys and all of them, and the Shannon Solomons. But then there are other directors out there that are almost like hidden gems, like Stella Nadura in California over at Azusa School District is absolutely amazing. And there's all sorts of different pockets of talent all over the place that's just waiting to be found and shared. And I guess like with me, like I love getting the chance to introduce people or getting to support and highlight and push people to, to do more, right? And I just love meeting new people that I'd never heard of before. So I guess that's my favorite thing about
Absolutely.
the job.
And there's, when you're thinking about some of the emerging rock stars.
Yeah.
But there's one lady in particular that, Lauren Wayand at,
Wait, don't tell me. Craven County. Craven County. I know Lauren.
She's awesome.
She is awesome.
I think you're going to see her at some point.
Yeah, she is absolutely amazing.
Scale. She's really embraced the farm to school side of things, and she has an event that's I was really impressed with.
That is so cool. I met her during my time working for Mealview in Heartland way back in the day.
Okay.
And her and I had we built rapport over the fact that we're both from the islands. So,
that's right.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, she is amazing. Yeah, like
she's a powerhouse.
With her. Yeah, she is for real. Okay, so what's new with Butterball these days? What are you guys getting into?
We've launched and what we try to always do is we try to take an item that we see. My main focus is commodity processing. But and so what we try to do, the new items coming into that are items that we see selling heavily and not just in commercial food service, but also in retail. What mom's feeding them at home and what we're feeding them at school. Anytime we can build off the success of retail or somewhere else in food service, that's just a good way to to kind of develop your products. And Butterballs, and we're unique in that 1/3 of our business is the Thanksgiving birds, the whole birds. 1/3 of it's food service, and 1/3 of it's retail. A lot of retail companies that are in K-12 are 95% retail, 1% this. So we have a nice little mix.
Yeah, that is unique. That is. So you mentioned commodity processing. Do you want to go ahead and kind of explain what that is for some of our listeners out there that may not know?
Absolutely. And I won't get into too much of the history of it, but
because we could be here all day.
We could.
But you're a history buff too, aren't you? Don't you like history? All right. Save it for another podcast.
There you go. But the way it started, I was fascinated with it. World War II, we were finding it didn't matter if a kid was from the inner city or a young man was from the country. They found out that he couldn't pass the minimum requirements to get into the military. So they waived that because we needed people for World War II, but mental notes were made and said, this is a Department of Defense initiative. So they did, that was one part of it. The other part of it was farm supports, because you could, with commodity processing, and it goes back to a per meal basis, that a school district gets so many cents per meal for their commodities to use in purchasing, whether it's cheese, beef, any of the Department of Defense fruits and veggies, or turkey from Butterball. They're allocated so much money, and then they use it on their commodity purchases the next year. So it helps reduce the cost of operations. But on the other side of it, it also helps farmers, because we're taking so many pounds of turkey off the market, so many barrels of cheese off the market each year. And so it helps that farm supports as well. So that's what I really like about the commodity. Still don't want to see anything change to that, because yes, we're delivering a much more nutritious meal to kids but we're also helping farmers on the backside.
I'm gonna ask you a stupid question. Maybe it's not that stupid. It's kind of silly to me, probably. But where do the majority of the turkeys come from? Is it like a southeast thing? Is it like out west? Is it just all over the country?
You got different we're out of North Carolina. All of our food service birds are grown in North Carolina.
Okay.
Our Thanksgiving birds come from Arkansas and Missouri. We have plants for that out there, but you also have some other competitors that are strong on the West Coast that you don't see them over here. So there's some regionality to it, but yeah.
So what's the difference between a Thanksgiving bird and a regular bird?
It's same bird. One just gets, some of the bigger ones you have to debone those.
Oh, okay.
But we still sell a lot of 25-pound and up Thanksgiving birds too.
Man,
so
that is a big
it's the same turkey.
That is a big bird.
Big.
Yeah. So earlier you mentioned mentoring and how at your previous positions there's always been someone there to help you grow.
Yes.
So is that something that you're big on to this day, or Butterball as a company?
Very much so. And I've really enjoyed watching, especially this industry, but I know it's beyond that. It used to be that you would graduate from college and you would guess at what you wanted to do, but these apprenticeships and what are the other temporary names, but I see every company that we deal with, we're seeing more and more of that. So a college kid, before he graduates, kind of has an idea of, is this something I want to do? I don't think that was really there for us.
Yeah.
It was just kind of a blind guess. Yeah, I'm going to sell copy machines. No, I don't want to sell them. So,
oh, man, I couldn't imagine having to sell copy machines.
it's awful.
It sounds like it. It sounds like it. I would much rather sell food over a copy machine.
Absolutely.
Especially today, because how much longer are those going to be around? Everything's digital now. They're going that way, at least.
I was of the fax machine era, so
what's a fax machine? Yeah, I'm just kidding. I know.
There's probably people that don't know what a fax machine is.
Well, it's funny, the other day, we're at my parents' house, right? I have 3 kids. And my oldest son, Kingston, he's 12. And we're upstairs, and my parents will have their Encyclopedia Britannica collection. And my son looks at that, and he's like, Dad, what's an encyclopedia? And I'm like, oh my gosh, are you serious? You have no idea what an encyclopedia is? I was like, this is what we had to do instead of going to Google. We had to go look things up in an encyclopedia, and it just blew his mind that there's this massive collection of books with just knowledge sitting in it, and you can't type in a question and get an answer.
The easy button.
The easy button, right? Oh, it's getting even easier now with AI, right?
Oh, I could have graduated summa cum laude from college if I'd have had that to write term papers.
Yeah, I might have graduated college if I had that. So do you get involved with any of the technology within Butterball and the turkeys? Are you guys tech forward using things like AI? I'm going completely off script now, but I'm just curious because it came up.
I would say we're definitely doing it. It's just not with me.
Yeah.
I fell off the technology wagon quite a few years ago.
All right.
I'm kind of the old dog, but I'm learning.
Yeah.
I'm learning.
Yeah. So you're the guy that's really mentoring and sharing experiences to all these younger folk that are coming up with the technology, because I feel like that's very important, right? So you can't just always know where to find the information. You have to have a general understanding of it so you can really utilize it, I believe. So I see you as that wise person that's just passing down all this information to the up-and-comers.
I do enjoy talking with young people in the business because we're at that point in our industry. I'm sure it's big, more industries than just us, but we're really seeing a gap between the new people starting and the people that have been around for 20 plus years, like myself. And what they do offer is they do understand that internet, and they understand all the technology. So being one of the old goats, I'm learning technology from them and how to operate in it, but they're also learning some of the, just some of the road rules in the business. And I love being able to, mentor, tutor somebody coming into it.
Yeah.
Because if we don't, we're be hurting in this industry specifically.
Yeah, there's definitely an exodus happening now, and it's going to get even worse in the next few years. So what are some things you think that we can do to help prepare these new professionals coming into K-12? Because it's not like anything else out there.
When I started, it was not uncommon to have a food service director that had started out as a dishwasher, and then worked her way up to a line cook, and then worked her way up to serving, and then worked her way up to cafeteria manager, and then eventually into the central office. Well, that was, I think, some of the changes we've made with education requirements to be a food service director hinders that a little bit. And so you get a lot of times we'll get people that are heavy on the education part of it, but they haven't operated a business.
Yeah.
And that's where I think training is where the biggest opportunity is for all of us. Well, I think we can do a better job as a poultry industry. I think we can do a better job as the industry side of this. And I think that, S&A, and I think there's efforts in there to kind of close that gap. So, but that is where the biggest opportunity is to improve.
Well, if you ever want to brainstorm on solutions, let me know, because I love crazy ideas.
There you go. There you go.
I love it. So talk to me about sodium requirements. Like, what are you guys doing to tackle that? Are you concerned about it? Are kids getting too much sodium, not enough sodium? What's the deal with that?
It's been a hot button for the last 15 years. It's really hits home for me because throughout the last, like I said, 10 to 15 years, we've heard cardiologists talk, and one's very pro taking down the sodium. You'd hear another one going, "You're taking way too much out." I don't even. This one guy in particular, I heard in Miami, talked about what we were feeding high school kids, what the final targets were going to be. He said those are lower than what I give a cardiac patient. And I thought, well, there was probably some exaggerations. And coming up on a year, I had open heart surgery up in Athens, and I was shocked when I looked at my menu. They broke it down by all the nutrients and all that, and I was allowed more sodium 2 days post-op, having a bypass. I was allowed more sodium than a high school kid is.
That's wild.
And so I think I applaud trying to have more nutritious meals, but if you get to a point where you're taking so much out of this that you're not feeding the kid anymore, they're feeding a trash can, or they're just not taking it, then it's a domino effect that, because if that kid doesn't eat that day, they don't get that cents per meal for commodities for next year. So it's all intertwined, and I think we need to do a better job of thinking through some of these. I love pilot programs. Let's see how something operates before we put it out there. So the sodium is concerning because it has been a moving target. There's going to be a final rule on that. It's coming out pretty soon if it hadn't already.
Yeah.
We just need to see a freeze on that because we'll go back to that R&D time. If I've got to change a product every 2 years, and we'll go conservative and say it's $5,000 an hour, it takes multiple hours to get a product where it's edible and where it meets the needs of what the guidelines are telling us. So
yeah,
I would love to see us talk about no added sodium than what naturally exists. Like with cheese, if you take 1 milligram of sodium too much out, it doesn't melt anymore. It's like plastic. So it's a fine line.
I had no idea. That is crazy. And I'm no nutritionist or registered dietitian, but isn't sodium important for athletes too? Because I know I used to be big into obstacle course racing, right? And if I ever had a cramp, give me some salt, right? And it goes away. So I feel like we could be more cautious. And you're right. If we continue to take sodium out, not only will the food not be food anymore, but kids aren't going to eat it. And I think part of that reason is because they can go someplace else and get their high sodium food that's way more unhealthy than what they get in schools already. And it's going to be difficult, maybe until we put restrictions on the restaurants and the retail stuff. I mean, kids' palates aren't going to change to be accepting of less sodium in schools. It's a much bigger problem.
Yeah, if they can keep that $3 in their pocket till after school and go get a fast food place.
Yeah,
that's what we don't want to see, because then that's, and not knocking the fast food, but they are all about profit and what they're putting in the bank. Whereas the school system, if they just operate at break even, they're happy.
Yeah,
they fed the kids. So it's I think we could. You would love to wave a magic wand and go, okay, the entire United States, you've got to feed at these regulations. Yeah. That's not going to happen. And the other thing with sodium and protein, probably other products as well, is it's used as a preservative. So for us to guarantee that a product's good frozen for a year, just getting that preservative in it, you need so much sodium.
Yeah, wow. It's a touchy subject around the K-12 world.
It is. I think we're starting to see some unification with the schools are now standing next to us at conferences saying, you got to stop the insanity. You talk about, I'll take milk, for example. I don't care if it's strawberry milk, chocolate milk, or regular. To me, the most important thing is to get the milk in their bodies. Yeah. And if you got to add a little sugar to it to get it in there, so be it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I used to get a spoonful of honey to go along with my cough syrup when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Made it tolerable.
Yeah. Growing up, I would not drink milk unless it was strawberry milk or in my bowl of cereal. That's the only way.
There you go.
But my mom, being a registered dietitian, she was like, just drink your milk. Like, I don't care what kind of milk it is, just drink your milk.
Your mom was an RD.
Yeah, my mom is actually, she's on the board for the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yep, so I grew up in a house with a registered dietitian, which is great.
That is.
Yeah, I think that's partially why I love school food so much, because it is nutritious food that tastes good. So yeah, I was from a young age. I was almost bred for this, I feel like.
Very much so.
Yeah. So I have to ask you, what's your favorite turkey recipe that you guys offer? Because I had something that I can't talk about at a chef demonstration with Chef Brenda and you guys, and it was delicious.
I'm sure
it was good.
Yeah, she's wonderful in her menu creations. She does a really good job as well working when she does the menu ideas for us. She incorporates USDA foods in there, the brown box, veggies and whatnot. And so I love the way that she'll lay it out there, because not only is it nutritious and it's a delicious recipe, but utilizing those other foods helps minimize the costs. And my favorite recipe that was created was the jerk street tacos. Love those.
Jerk street tacos. I haven't tried those yet.
They're good.
Where can I find these things? I'm Jamaican, so I would love to try it.
And so the product we use is a trimmed thigh roast.
Okay.
And it is amazing how much like a shredded beef or shredded pork that item is.
Yeah.
And so anything Caribbean it goes well with, but it's also got the Mexican where you put it in carnitas and stuff.
Yeah.
So what we learned out of the national supply chain problems and COVID was that if I could take an item to a school district and go, okay, here's this item, you can menu it 15 different ways. Instead of having 15 products that they menu one way, it just makes all the business sense in the world to have that one item.
Versatility.
So ours isn't just this deluge of different items. The items that we have that we brought into K-12 are ones that are tried and true and that have been successful. So it just makes sense to move that into the commodity processing program.
Yeah. All right, so if anybody out there is serving the jerk street taco by Butterball, please send me an invite. I want to come have lunch with you because I got to try this thing. It sounds delicious.
Very good. I'll make sure you get a sample.
All right, awesome. So in order for businesses to grow and to continue to support their partners and their clients and their customers, it takes investments. So where are you guys currently investing your time or your money or your efforts? What are you guys doing?
So we're still in our little K-12 segment at Butterball. We're still a very small group, and we want to grow smart. We don't want to grow too fast. We launched in 2000 18 technically.
Yeah.
But we didn't really start sales activities until 2020.
That's a great time to launch.
Yeah.
2018.
Right in the middle of COVID. Yeah. So yeah, it was a challenge, but we're building our infrastructure. We're not necessarily hiring a ton of people, but we do use some consultants. Perfect example of what we're doing right here. And it's, I think, by using the tools that are already out there, like your company and like a Processor Link or a K-12 services, they can help put you in the commodity business.
Yeah.
Or they can put you in the K-12 business with you not having this huge internal footprint. So that's we're using a lot of those partnerships, and I don't think we'll ever go away from them because it's a lot more effective than us trying to do it.
Well, I know NxtGen, we love supporting you guys because you have a good product, you have a good mission, and just value aligned. It's easy to get behind or to partner with people that you believe in. So it's been an amazing partnership, and thank you for that opportunity.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're enjoying it.
Yeah. So what's next for you? You guys have any big conferences you're going to this year? What are you doing?
Well, of course, we'll do the ACTA, which is the American Commodity Distribution Association. That's next week. And then we've got the big one in the SNA show in Boston, which will be well attended.
Yeah.
We're looking forward to it.
Yeah. Where's ACTA this year?
ACTA is in St. Louis.
Okay.
Which I love that part of the world anyhow.
Yeah.
So that'll be a good one. And then I think the National Leadership Conference is in Seattle this year. So
Not a bad place to be either.
not too bad.
Yeah. It's
Not too
beautiful
bad.
out there.
Yeah.
What's your favorite thing about conferences?
Oh, it's for me, it's always about the people. Sometimes people that you see one time a year, but when you see them, it's like not a day's past.
Yeah.
It's what I enjoy, and I think our industry specifically is very tight. Even people you compete with, I mean, they're your friends.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny, like sometimes your competition becomes your family in some sort of weird way because you always see these other people at the same shows that you're at multiple times per year, and you just become friends. You become like a traveling family.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's one thing I do miss about being more on the sales role is having that group of friends that I would always, like, we would coordinate all of our trips together and just travel everywhere we went together, get Airbnbs together and stuff. It was a great time.
And go sightseeing
Go
together.
sightseeing, do all the things. Yeah, and it didn't matter what city, but there was always something to do with your friends. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, is there one thing that you could say you could attribute Butterball success to, or a group of things? Because you guys are doing awesome. So, what is it? Like, what's your secret sauce?
I think it starts from the top leadership down. The thing that I love about Butterball is that it's always family first. I mean, hey, I need to go to a show, but my son's got this going on, or my dog. They'll tell you family first, work second, and they truly. A lot of companies will say that they truly are that way, to the point that you're like, no, I'm good. I don't need an extra day.
Yeah.
But they're very family centered, and that's huge. I think a lot of it is that you had Carolina Turkey, which was owned by a family. They're the ones that bought the Butterball brand in 2011. And now we're owned by Seaboard as well as that same family. And but having the family as ownership, I think that bleeds down from the top to the bottom. And a lot of people will talk about it. Butterball, they live it. So
Yeah, and I have to say, from my personal experience, I'm just not building a relationship with you guys. And I used to see you at conferences and stuff, but after getting to know like you and Heather, I'm like, they are just good people that care about what they're doing and serving. And you guys are absolutely awesome. And you can just see the family values like radiating off of you guys, which is really neat.
it is. And Heather Ness that you'd mentioned, she is just amazing person. She she helps me out a bunch in K-12. She wears so many other hats with the marketing and dealing with photo shoots and stuff like that.
Yeah.
She has really embraced K-12. She has the passion for feeding kids that I see her playing a bigger and bigger role with K-12 as this goes on. But she's got she's got the heart for it, and that's huge.
She does. She has the heart, and she has the experience to back it up, and the wisdom. So my first time hanging out with her was at an event that we did together, and within 5 minutes, I was like, "Holy cow, this woman is smart!" And not only that, is she pushed me to be better without even knowing she was pushing me to be better, and like she inspired me to be more and to do more without even really trying. She just has like this presence about her where she's a leader. Like she's straight up a leader, and she's amazing.
Absolutely, it's hard to get past her New York accent.
Yeah, New York
That's
accent.
Good Eastern North Carolina lady.
Yeah,
she understands the whole marketing world way better than I do. So I didn't even know what is it, an imprint?
yeah,
But I didn't know. Had not a clue. So she can get me through those. But she's really, and she is real close with Craven County as well.
Okay.
But she's a powerhouse. I can literally just hand something off to her.
Yeah.
And say, "Can we get this done?" And the next thing I know, it's done. And great person.
Yeah.
Great ambassador for Butterball too.
Yeah. Isn't it funny how small of a world this is? Because you said Lauren, and I automatically thought Craven County, right? Like K-12 is like the largest, smallest world I've ever experienced.
It is so true. I mean, it's and I've always told younger people, like, the best thing you can do is do what you say. Don't put your head in the sand when there's a problem, because these people have memories, and they tend to be in their positions for 20 plus years.
Yeah. And the thing is, if you make a mistake, just own up to it. Like, don't run from it. Own up to it, and then most likely you'll be able to move on and make up for it if you need to.
So true. Yeah,
right?
they're very, very forgiving people. You know, it's we have a customer service. He used to run our customer service department, and he said, "You know what?" He said, "Try to be helpful. It's not that hard."
Yeah.
And that's really been something that stayed with me. Don't run from the problem, especially with the school customer, because when it comes time for them to, okay, I got to decide, which way to go, the person that helped them is going to always have some favor. The guy that went and hit his head in the sand, that's going to be remembered too.
Absolutely. And I've even had situations come up where like my company did make a mistake, or I made a mistake or something, but we owned it and we worked through it. And it actually strengthened our relationship with that customer because, we wanted to fix the issue. Like, hey, we're sorry we made a mistake. Let us make it better for you. And we saw that through, and it's actually made relationships better. And even in my personal life too, it happens, right?
It's amazing how those things bleed over, because I can remember my dad used to always tell me, he said, when you can look at something and go, yeah, I made a mistake. He goes, that's when you start becoming an adult. He said, when you quit, so when you stop hiding from things and you just own them.
Yeah.
And that has been so true in the business world, but as well as in my personal world. Yeah, that was my fault.
Yeah.
And it just diffuses everything.
Yep. And there's no more pent up emotions
That's
or
right.
thoughts or anything. Just let it go, and you move on together, right?
Just let it go. That's right.
So many lessons like that my parents tried to instill in me as a young man that I ignored until recently. And now I'm like, all right, Mom and Dad, you're right.
They get a lot smarter when we get older,
That's a very valid point. They do. They really do. So you mentioned that you guys are national, right?
Yes.
All right. Do you have brokers that you use, or you have an internal sales team?
We have zero internal sales.
Okay.
It's where literally a two-person department full-time. Melissa Cormier helps me out. She oversees the behind the scenes, the commodity bid management and bid operations. But she also is having to do a lot of bids. So it's we're small, and we use what's the new Action Food Service.
Oh, yeah.
That was Waypoint and Key Impact that merged. We had the Waypoint side, and we're happy to see that getting kind of worked out. And it helped. That merger helped them strengthen in some areas.
Yeah.
So it was a positive overall.
Yeah. It's I probably shouldn't be saying this, but it's kind of funny. So whenever that merger happened, I was on LinkedIn and I saw Cindy accepted a new role at this new position. And I'm like, oh my gosh, where'd Cindy go? Why'd she left? Like we loved her at Waypoint. And then I find out like a day later that's the same company.
Right.
I guess my head was in the sand or something.
And she retained, her title may have changed, but she's my counterpart over there.
Yeah.
She's wonderful to work with.
Yeah, she's great. So you never told me, how long were you at, or have you been at Butterball?
Let's say it'll be 5 years next December.
5 years next December.
I started, was December 16th of 2019, and 90 days later we were at the LAC.
Then the world ended.
And got the call. So when, after this trip, stay home, this virus, we got to let it kind of work its way through. And we think you'll be able to travel again in June.
Yeah.
It was a whole nother June before we were able to start to go back and travel.
What was it? And I don't really like talking about COVID, but I feel like the tenacity of your company to stick with it and stick with K-12 through that time period. Like, what was the thought process of Butterball back then?
It's with me just starting there and them being in the development process for a little longer than that. I was so concerned. I was like, are they going to have the stomach or the fortitude to stay with K-12? Because I had no idea how long COVID's going to last.
Yeah. And
we didn't have anything yet. We sold a lot of sandwich makers. We didn't. At the time, we weren't making any sandwiches. We did for a little while and then got out of it. But the resiliency of the company is we all shifted gears a little bit. Like I started calling people I'd never known that I knew made sandwiches, just as kind of in survival mode. And then we had the same problems when everything did open up. We were struggling with labor just like anybody else was. We had to pay more for it, and there was some crazy times that, as we talked before, I don't think. Well, I hope we never go through anything that resembles that again. But it did help us polish off, dust up and do things better. So
yeah, and the main reason why I bring that up is just because I want to touch on your guys' resilience and tenacity, because you guys did stick with it because you have that heart. Like family first company, you guys have the heart. You didn't give up on K-12 like a lot of other people did or thought about doing. You guys stuck through it, and now look, you're on the other side. You guys are doing amazing things.
It's growing, and I was very, very pleased that they didn't scrap thank God they didn't scrap their K-12 program. But and they knew it was in the long term goals. It's in the planning for the company. I see us as being a permanent fixture in K-12. Yeah. We were Butterball's been bidding into K-12 at least since the 1980s that I can look back on some things. And it's not, so it wasn't brand new to them. The commodity processing and the focus on it that was what was newer to them. But the whole, being in the K-12 area was not brand new.
Yeah. And before we actually started the podcast, you made a comment to me and you were starting to talk about how commodity processing poultry is more challenging or can be more challenging than other items. So can you give me a little bit of I don't know, educate me on why, and then what some districts out there should be aware of or should be doing when they are commodity processing with you guys, because they probably should be.
Yeah. We're hoping they'll start doing more of it with us. But you take cheese, for example. You got a pound of cheese that the government's basically paid for. And so now that you've got to take that cheese and make it into something usable. So it could be cheese sauce. Well, it takes, so many ounces of cheese to make this, 3-ounce cup from this 1 pound block. That's pretty easy. When it comes to poultry, you've got white meat, you've got dark meat, and certain products like when you go to Chick-fil-A or Zaxby's, you're getting tenders and breast fillet. Well, that doesn't use the dark meat. So that's where they've always, they have to use that as well. And that's part of where we really come in and help them. Hey, you're not using this product that draws down dark meat. You might take a look at this. And so we're as much problem solvers as we are salespeople nowadays.
Okay. You guys like solution architects.
There you go, solution architects.
I like to say that.
I like that.
Solution architect. All right, so here's a question for you. White meat or dark meat? If you had to pick one, what's it going to be?
I'm personally a dark meat guy.
Yeah, me too.
I love fried chicken thighs. Like
Chicken thighs, chicken legs. I love it.
Yep.
Well, how can people get a hold of you or your team if they're interested in learning more about commodity processing, maybe wanting to get education on a new role they have in a school district, or want to order samples or get this, get you guys on their bid?
Absolutely, yeah. It can reach out to either Action Food Service, their local rep. My line and my email is always open. Then, of course, my favorite, I always point people towards our website, our K-12 website, of which the new Chef Brenda videos that you did for us will be on pretty soon. What we find is that the average consumer, whether it's another food service or retail, when they go to our website, they'll spend less than 90 seconds out there. A K-12 person will spend over 3 minutes, and we've had some that for averages were out there between 7 and 10 minutes, which I'm talking to your world now.
Yeah, you are.
That's awesome.
That's huge.
So
that's a big deal.
It's a great tool to have, and it's www.butterballfoodservice.k12/.
If you get that far in Google,
I think
you're good.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this
is
a
great website.
Shout out to your marketing team, but your website and your e-blast, your newsletters are amazing. Like, I've seen some emails come through and it was highlighting different recipes. I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is next level content right here. You guys do it right, and you have inspired me to do some things too.
Yeah, it was something I didn't. We've got another fellow named Terry Wicks that we brought. He'd been in that retail data end of things. He came in to work with us, and I thought, what's the terminology? Insights. Here we go. He's an insights person.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay. And I just thought it was mainly with the retail, which he did have that, but he's helped me understand some things, that he's been able to put some things into dashboard or the easy button. Yeah. That have really opened my eyes to some things I didn't know. I didn't have a clue that he could really process that info and show me where the rubber hits the road. So
well, I think one of the reasons why you guys have such great times, like read times on your website and even in your emails and stuff, is because you create such rich educational content. You have really good content, and people want to stay on your website or on your newsletter or on your social media to become inspired and to read and to learn, right? So hats off to you guys. You guys are doing an amazing job at that.
I'd love to take all the credit for it, but I have very little. It's very helpful. The thing during COVID, with us having, here's the recipe that either a Joe Urban or a Chef Brenda had put together, but it's a total another thing for them to be able to sit there and look at the different steps. And so during COVID, when everybody was shifting and trying to figure out how they were going to get stuff done, we were able to say, okay, use this product at your school, and here's a little 5-minute training video that's going to tell you, from start to finish. You're going to want to take this item out 72 hours before you menu it, all the way down to what the finished product looked like. Because, we're getting gone more from just being auditory to where everything's visual. That's one thing I've noticed about. I can tell somebody how to do something, but if I can show somebody how to do something, it gets done a lot better. So that's it. You'll see us continuing to enhance our website as far as the tools and videos and menu concepts.
Yeah. So you mentioned a couple chefs, and I think it would be a ton of fun because I'm super competitive. I know you are too because you play sports, or you did play sports, right? How much fun would it be to get like the Joe Urbans and the Chef Brendas and Sharon Schaefer, Chef Patinas, all of them to come in one day and have a cooking competition, have a throwdown using Butterball products.
That would be perfect.
That would be a ton of fun.
Absolutely.
A ton of fun.
Yeah, there's some powerhouses right there for sure.
I'm gonna have to send Heather a text. Heather, I got this idea for you. Well, Frank, thank you so much for hanging out with me today, and thank you for your service in K-12 and the amazing products you guys are putting out there, and making sure everything not only is nutritious but also delicious. And it's been an honor getting to know you and hang out with you. So I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Thank you for the opportunity. We really appreciate this, and just hope our voices reach some different people today.
Let's do it. All right.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you.